Okay, welcome to another CJRU live off the floor performance. Janice, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
So you're known as a folk singer and songwriter. You're known as a poet, and you're known as a playwright.
Yes.
Originally, you were from Kitchener, Ontario, and now you reside in Toronto. So how are you enjoying living in Toronto?
It's great. It's great to be back. I lived here as a child.
Right.
And but all of my artist life and adult life was spent in Kitchener-Waterloo. So yeah, coming back here, it's great. You can do anything, eat anything, see anything.
Right. Compared to Kitchener, there's a little bit more variety.
And, diversity.
Diversity for sure. Now, I know you're sort of known as an off-the-cuff performer.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, how do you prepare yourself for something like live off the floor or a performance like this? Do you sort of have instruments that you put together that you pick ahead of time, or like an idea you work off?
Oh yeah, the set is always rehearsed and chosen in advance, but it's the banter that the glue. And I mean, every audience is different, so making sure I take time to get to know them and connect with them. But sometimes too, if the vibe, you can walk into a show and the vibe can be totally different than what you expected. And sometimes I will change my set if I think it'll better serve connecting to the audience.
Right, and that doesn't seem like you never get nervous about going into certain performances, or does it change every performance?
Usually I don't get nervous. The times when I do get nervous is when the light is so bright and you can't see the audience.
Right. Oh, because so you see lights, but you can't see what you're looking into.
Because then why I'm there is to connect with the audience, and when I can't see them, it's very difficult to gauge if they're enjoying it or understanding what I'm doing. Right. And then I guess that's when I can start to feel a little flustered. But usually, yeah, I come prepared.
Vocal looping, it seems to be huge in the way you write music. I wanted to know how important like a vocal loop or even the pedal board is for your creative process.
Yeah, looping I brought into I started doing that a few years ago. I used to play with a 6-piece band, and it was really full sound and rocking, and I really enjoyed what we could do with that kind of symphonically, but I think logistically, it's hard to get 6 people in a room to
as performers,
have band practice.
Like sort of schedule performers together?
Just to get people together. And also, at that period in my life, I was really like going through a lot of purging and trying to like decolonize my mind of a lot of white dominance, whether in the kind of music that I grew up learning and the stories that I was telling.
Right.
And having people on stage that weren't 100% down with what I was saying, the vibe wasn't right.
Right.
Because there's lots of great musicians who can play the notes, but you also want to have the right vibe and the right feel. And I had to feel like I trusted and loved everybody on stage, and everybody wanted to share these stories in the same way. So the looping happened because that's how I could just jam with myself. And my main instrument, I consider my voice. And with the loop station, I can harmonize with myself, and I can really explore anything vocally. And so I like came back to basics, I guess, which is the voice and the pedal. And then from then on, the Ancestor songs emerged.
Right. Well, I was going to say the song you did today was Ancestor Song.
Yeah.
And it was cool to watch from our perspective, because I don't know if you have preset loops on the pedal, but it's cool to see the song come together, like from nothing.
Yeah.
To you beatboxing, and then to the harmonies in the background, and then the sound becomes so full, and like you said, it almost sounds like you have 6 people playing instruments in the back. It really all comes together. But it's a slow, like sort of ascend to descend, I guess, and then that sort of the song completes itself.
Yeah, it's cool to see the building blocks.
Yeah.
And always after the loop is full, I'm like, I can't believe that's just voice.
Right.
Right. And I talk a lot about the body as instrument, like all the different ways we can make percussive noises. That it's great to have instruments as well, but if I show up to a gig and none of my instruments made it, I'm fine because I have my body and my voice, right? And the looping, it's really economical for touring, just to bring the pedal instead of the 6-piece band. But also, when I'm just harmonizing with myself, the blend is perfect. Right. So it's interesting sonically, I think.
How often do you practice on your own with the pedal board, or is that just straight you and your voice as an instrument and maybe a guitar?
Yeah, I also play guitar and a Korean drum called jangu, and sometimes I have some like trumpet licks on some songs. What was the question?
Well,
how often do I jam?
No, but like practice. Do you practice by yourself with the pedal board, or is that sort of more of an acoustic environment?
Oh, yeah, I practice with the pedal board by
Right.
myself, and that's often how I compose.
Well, the only reason I'm asking, because you sort of downplay it, but in my mind, it seems super complex what you're working with, like the different voices and putting all those sounds together when it's just you. So you're working just with your own voices.
Yeah. I'd say the hardest thing about loop station is if you're going to go analog with the BPM, because you can plug it into the board and have it mechanized so that it's perfect. But I don't do that. I record the first phrase just using the rhythm in my body.
Right.
So that's the one you got to lock down, because if that one's not correct, then you'll just hear it
throws it all off,
and it's horrible. You have to stop if that happens. So once you got that first loop done, the layers on top of that, it won't mess up the rhythm. So once you figure it out, it's super fun. It's super easy. I'll show you.
Right.
I should show you.
Okay. Okay. So like I said before, you're a playwright and you do spoken word. I want to know how you can sort of find time to delegate yourself to all these sort of outlets.
Yeah, this always comes up about the different disciplines.
Right.
For me, I like calling myself a folk artist.
Okay.
Meaning an artist that's interested in people, in our times, in contemporary stories. Another way I would call myself, if under one umbrella, would just be a storyteller. And sometimes the stories come out as verse on the page, or as a song, or requires movement and staging, right? And so letting the story take the form that it needs to take. And it's not like now I sit down and I'm purposefully trying to write kind of the story. What I want to say will show me how it needs to be shared.
Because that's what I was going to say. Is it sort of project by project? It seems like you're trying to get it's different for every situation, but you're trying to get a message across.
Yeah,
and
I want to share
whatever
a
outlet
story.
sort of shows it the best way.
Exactly.
You sort of whichever avenue you choose to take.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So
but it is project by project. You're right.
Project by
Especially with
project.
like theater, for example.
Right.
You have to plan things so far in advance. Touring, you have to plan so far in advance. So I definitely have seen, like, the past year and a half, 2 years, there was a lot of theater with my play kind of taking over. And so Ancestor Song I've been trying to record for 3 years.
Right.
But it just keeps getting pushed back.
That's crazy. And you probably like that. That's another plus for the loop. It's like trying to get everything together, but you could do it all on your own, and you have complete control. And the only person you have to worry about is yourself. And what the sounds that are going to come out of it are just you.
Yeah.
So you don't have
but
to.
Sometimes I plug instruments into it, but not often, yeah.
But you're playing the instrument, so
That's
at
true.
the end of the day,
it's great for control freaks, just have a loop station.
Okay. You said were you classically trained in guitar or trumpet, or was that something you just sort of picked up?
I was in Royal Conservatory for piano.
Oh, wow.
Only until grade 4. I hated it. I preferred soccer. And then in band, in school, I played trumpet from grade 6 to grade 12. And so, like, having piano, I knew how to read music and had some theory. So in that sense, I'm, like, classically trained but in Western classical. But no, guitar I just learned in university. My friends taught me. We were in this choir called the Radical Choir.
Right.
And a few of us a couple people could play guitar, but sometimes we'd have a gig and we needed another person to play guitar. So for convenience, I kind of learned it.
Okay, because you were the one actually playing it.
To accompany. We just
gigs.
needed someone else to play. And I wanted to accompany my voice. I learned guitar to accompany my voice.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And it probably progresses your songwriting and creative ability.
For sure. Because I was writing songs when I was a kid.
Right.
Like walking around at recess as a loner in grade 1, making up songs, but I never wrote them down until university.
Do you think they ever come back to you? Maybe thoughts that you thought in your head as a kid, and maybe
I can remember
an
some
instrument?
things. I'd be like, no one wants to play with me.
Do you think that's going to be on an upcoming album anytime soon, or?
There's a bit of that in my musical, actually, in Will You Be My Friend. The first song is,
Okay.
it's like, who wants to play with me?
Right.
No one wants
So
to play
it does
with
come back.
me.
It is
Yeah,
sort of full
for
circle
sure.
at
I
the end
guess
of the
so.
day. Lastly, you have 2 albums coming out in the new year, Ancestor Song and Lullabies. I know the last album, you're sort of trying to finalize the name.
Yes.
But where did you record those 2
That's
albums?
the thing, right? They're coming out. I haven't recorded them.
Okay. So what do you have ideas, sort of framework set for it?
I'll be doing a lot of kind of the loop stuff and vocal stuff at home. And then the percussion things I'll have to be in studio. And I'll do it probably in Toronto.
Right.
I have players in mind and things like that.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'd have tons of songs. I just got to stop traveling and stop taking gigs and sit down and record it.
Well, don't do either. So we need to figure out so that you can travel, play gigs, and get these albums out. 'Cause we can't wait.
Oh, okay.
And thank you so much for your performance today. And we can't wait to share it with everyone else.
Yeah, it's so exciting. Shout out to the crew.
Thank you, Janice.
Thanks, Sam.